Hi students, once again welcome to all. In this video, we will learn about biomolecules. So all living things are made up of many biomolecules like carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, vitamins, enzymes, nucleic acid, etc. Now we will see one by one. This slide explains what are the elements that combine to form variety of biomolecules. Here, carbohydrate and lipids are made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Then proteins are constructed by carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. Then a nucleic acid having phosphorus also. So first we are going to see carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are the most abundant organic compounds in every living organism. Carbohydrates are also known as saccharides. They are considered as hydrates of carbon. So chemically they are defined as polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxyketones. Polyhydroxyaldehyde means so many hydroxyl groups are present with the aldehyde group, and polyhydroxyketone means many hydroxyl groups with the ketone group. So carbohydrates having the general molecular formula CnH2O times. This is the general molecular formula for carbohydrates. Some common examples are given in this slide for carbohydrates. Namely glucose, sucrose, starch, etc. Generally, carbohydrates are synthesized by green leaves during photosynthesis. Already we know what is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a complex process in which sunlight provides necessary energy to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose and then oxygen. Glucose is then converted into other carbohydrates and is consumed by animals. Next, we see the configuration of carbohydrates. The carbohydrates are usually named with two prefixes, namely DRL, and followed by the sign either plus or minus. So, two prefixes are mentioned in front of the name of glucose. One is DRL and the other one is plus or minus. First we see the DRL configuration of carbohydrates. Before we enter this, we must know what is chiral carbon. Almost all carbohydrates are optically active because they have one or more chiral atoms. Now let us see what is chiral carbon. Carbon is surrounded by 4 different atoms or group is called chiral carbon. A carbon is surrounded by 4 different atoms or groups is called chiral carbon. Let us see one example, glyceraldehyde. So this compound is glyceraldehyde. Why we discussed about glyceraldehyde? Because all sugars are derived from glyceraldehyde. So in this glyceraldehyde, the center carbon is surrounded by 4 different atoms or groups. That is, the 4 different atoms are hydrogen, CHO aldehyde group, OH hydroxyl group, and then finally CH2OH group. So the center carbon is chiral carbon because it surrounded by 4 different atoms or groups. So the chiral carbon, center carbon, chiral carbon is also known as asymmetric carbon and is denoted by C star. Now let us see the Fischer projection formula for glyceraldehyde. Here these two structures are the Fischer projection of glyceraldehyde and they are differ only in the spatial arrangement of atoms in the chiral carbon. this chiral carbon attached to CH2OH group. So D-glyceraldehyde contains OH group at the right side and L-glyceraldehyde contains OH group at left side in the chiral carbon which is attached to CH2OH group. Simply we can understand, if the OH group is right side, then it is called D sugar. Similarly, if the OH group is in left side, then it is called L sugar. But we must see the OH of carbon that is attached to CH2OH group. Let us see some more example. See that in D-ribose and D-glucose, the OH group in right side. Therefore, the configuration is D. And in the L-ribose and L-glucose, the OH group in left side. So the configuration is L. Finally, the DL system corresponds to the configuration of molecule, that is the spatial arrangement of its atoms around the chirality center. So one prefix is over. Then we are going to see the next prefix, plus or minus. So before we enter this topic, we must know the optical activity, which is already we learned in 11th standard. Let us recall it. We already know the light is propagated in the form of waves. See, the ordinary monochromatic light is vibrating in all planes. See the diagram. The ordinary light propagated in the form of waves, and the waves are propagated in or vibrating in all planes. When this ordinary light is allowed to nickel prism, the emergent light, the resultant light vibrating is in only one plane. This type of light is called plane polarized light. So first we have to convert ordinary monochromatic light into plane polarized light. Now the plane polarized light is passed through certain sample solution. The resultant plane polarized light may be rotated either clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. This is called optical rotation. And the substance we take are called optically active substances. And this property is called optical activity. So if the rotation is towards right side, that is clockwise direction, we use the prefix plus symbol for the substance. And if the rotation is towards left side or anti-clockwise direction or counterclockwise direction, we use the prefix minus symbol for the substance. So simply, if plus glucose rotates the plane polarized light into clockwise direction, and minus glucose rotates the plane polarized light into anti-clockwise direction. Let us see the explanation of two prefixes of D plus glucose. See that the picture, the OH group is right side of the chiral carbon, which is attached to the CH2OH group. So we use the prefix D, and the plus prefix indicates it rotates the plane polarized light into clockwise direction. That's all for configuration of carbohydrate. Now we are going to see the classification of carbohydrate. Based on sweetness, it can be classified into two types. One is sugar and another one is non-sugar. And carbohydrates can also classified into three major types based on their product of hydrolysis, namely monosaccharides, oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. Both monosaccharides and oligosaccharides are sweet in taste, so it belongs to sugars. Monosaccharides are carbohydrates that cannot be hydrolyzed further, so it is called simple sugar. Monosaccharides are further classified into two types, namely aldoses and ketoses. If the monosaccharide contains aldehyde as the functional group, then it is called aldoses. Example for aldose is glucose. On the other hand, if the monosaccharide contains ketone as the functional group, then it is called ketoses. So the example for ketoses is fructose. Now, oligosaccharides are further classified into disaccharides, trisaccharides, tetrasaccharides, and so on, based on their product of hydrolysis. When disaccharides on hydrolysis to give two monosaccharides, for example, sucrose on hydrolysis to give two monosaccharides, namely glucose and fructose. So sucrose is the example for disaccharide because it gives two monosaccharides when hydrolysis. Similarly, trisaccharides on hydrolysis to give three monosaccharides. Example for trisaccharide is raffinose. So raffinose on hydrolysis to give three monosaccharides, namely glucose, fructose, and galactose. These three sugars are monosaccharides. Then polysaccharides are further classified into two types. One is homo and another one is hetero. Starch and cellulose are the example for homopolysaccharides, and heparin is the example for heteropolysaccharides.
Carbohydrates can be classified into sugars and non-sugars, as we just saw. Now, they can also be classified based on their ability to undergo hydrolysis into three major groups: monosaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides, as you can see here. Now, let's begin by talking about monosaccharides. Look at the clue in their name. The keyword here is mono or one. A carbohydrate that cannot be hydrolyzed further to give simpler units of polyhydroxyaldehyde or ketone is called a monosaccharide. As the name suggests, they are made up of just one saccharide unit. Simply put, we cannot use water to break these down into smaller units because these are the smallest units that we can have. Now, they can be further classified depending on whether there is an aldehyde group here, which is, in this case, it's known as an aldose, or if it has a ketone functional group, in which case it is known as ketose. About 20 monosaccharides are known to occur in nature. We will look at the names and structures of these very soon. Let's now move on to oligosaccharides though. Carbohydrates that yield 2 to 10 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis are called oligosaccharides. This means that water is able to break these compounds down to smaller units, which are in turn monosaccharides. Now, these can further be classified based on the number of monosaccharide units it produces on hydrolysis. So you can have disaccharides, trisaccharides, you get the idea, right? The most common ones among these are disaccharides. Now, it is important to mention here that the monosaccharide units we get after hydrolysis may not always be the same one. For example, sucrose, a disaccharide, gives glucose and fructose, which are two different monosaccharides upon hydrolysis. But maltose, which is also a disaccharide, will give you 2 units of glucose on hydrolysis. A common example of a trisaccharide is raffinose, which gives galactose, glucose, and fructose on hydrolysis. Now, there are many such examples of oligosaccharides. Finally, we have carbohydrates which yield a large number of monosaccharide units on hydrolysis. These guys are called polysaccharides. Some common examples here include starch, cellulose, glycogen, gums, etc. Now, if you look at the table, you see that polysaccharides are put under non-sugars, whereas monosaccharides and oligosaccharides are put under sugars. And this is precisely because there is no polysaccharide which is sweet in taste. So all polysaccharides as such are